Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday night. Wish everybody well. Everything is going well for you, at least moderately well. Let me just put this up a little bit. Okay. Pat Donahue, I have a question from you, but I think I'm going to do that in Roanoke. That might be a little bit helpful there. And just so you know that I haven't forgotten you. I have some questions. This one is from Carol Corbet here in Ottawa. Can you explain a little bit more about the quiet spaces that drop into your head? What she's saying here, she's had some experiences where, in asking for an awareness of this quiet space, it seems that something drops into her head, and then she experiences this quiet place, but she can't bring it back personally. This is a pretty interesting thing from my perspective. It's learning to realize that the personality is not in charge of this thing. And getting to the point where you can open up enough to allow yourself to understand or engage with that quiet spot where you can allow yourself to recognize that, in fact, your relationship with higher states is in alignment with the higher state. And the higher state is that strong functioning element, which in a kind of a way expresses itself into and through the personality. In other words, the personalization that occurs in everyone's head, which is well trained in all of us, quiets down. And automatically we begin to realize that there is something else going on other than what we're normally in charge of, or what is normal for us in what happens as we engage with others. It's learning how to quiet or gentle down the personalizations. One thing I need to do first, I promised Matt that I would increase the volume a bit. If some of you are having a little bit of difficulty when I lower my voice hearing, raise your own volume. I've just raised mine. And I hope that works a little bit better for you. So as we've been talking over the years, there is a gap or a quiet spot within your personality workings that allows you to recognize and allow a kind of receptivity occur inside of you. You don't lose your personalization, but it allows itself to soften down a bit. I'll just wait until Marlene quits moving things around here for a second. We're checking the view and making sure that the light is okay. And sometimes that's very difficult to do. So the dilemma is, as in Carol's instance and anyone else's, you can create a kind of space within your head, and this is not what is happening with Carol, where you can believe that your area in your head is quite quiet. And it's highly personalized. In other words, it's like an aim. You construct a quiet and you hold it. That isn't the kind of quiet that Carol's talking about. It's as if there is a gentle engagement with a totally different way of relating to your mental facility and your emotional facility. You begin to understand that that intellectual element comes most often in our world, comes out of constructing things with ideas and thoughts that are kind of woven together based on how we believe things should be, by using options that we are comfortable with. That is not quiet space, but that is how we function. And there's nothing wrong with it at all, because it gives us options, honestly, relative to those comfort zones that we all have, whatever may be, and that creates opinion. And that's how we attempt to understand things. So no negation in that. What happens, though, in this other spot? A kind of receptivity occurs within the mind and within the emotional disposition. It comes out of using the personality or understanding the significance of the personality as a tool from a point of view of a higher state. Real hard thing to think of. Yet, as a tool, the personality is still able to perceive what's going on and engage with that which is going on, whatever it may be, and understand that there is a link there between one state, this state, and another. We already have links, of course, with the physical, the emotional, and the mental dispositions that we construct in our personality structures. So what goes on then is a quieting of all of that. And perhaps an idea or an option can fall into that quiet space, which is not linked to an ABC building block construction that we're already, let's say, obliged to come up with because we've considered it, and therefore an answer is this way or that way or some other way. So this is very difficult to explain from my point of view, but nonetheless, when that happens, you can tell the difference between that quiet inside your head and the quiet in your emotional system. Even your defenses quiet quite a bit. And it's as if there's an aspect of you that is looking for something beyond what you can come up with. That is kind of a presentation that relates to that higher gap or silence in the mind. Now, that silence in the mind doesn't destroy your mind. It's different than Alzheimer's. It prepares the mind to learn how to engage in both levels. So you're building bridges between these coarser levels, which includes all of those aspects of your personality, physical body, the emotional makeup of how you think you need to think to be valued, and your mental facility, whatever that may be. So it's different. And when Carol said, well, I asked that, is it possible that I could experience that quiet that might be possible, but I don't get it? Suddenly what happened was it dropped into her awareness. In other words, she was aware of the fact that it was not her that did it. It dropped in and it was quiet. I always said it's almost like it's a reverential sense, but uh, don't forget, that's my opinion. And there are many of those at large. But what it does is allows you to be receptive. I know I said that before, but receptive to, and there's an anticipation that something may happen again, or it may happen out of nowhere, because you start to find out the more you try to do this kind of thing, the way it is real in you, the more you find out you can't. You can construct a kind of quiet in there, but it's fundamentally a goal-oriented thing from the personality's point of view. You can hold yourself at bay for a period of time. That isn't the same kind of quiet. You're building it on the emotional and mental side of things, kind of thing, and it allows you to be proud and puffed up a little bit about the importance of how you do things. So you stand in your way then of that openness. It's not an openness, it's a cultivation and a form that you hold. There are many kinds of attempts to gain access to this level from these coarser planes, and they all end up as an engagement with great value from the point of view of these planes. And it's not a link with anything other than a constructed venue. You construct it yourself and you have a link to that. Like you have a link to habits that you perpetuate. And it's fine, but it's not that silent space, that gap in that quiet that affects your whole system, calms everything down. Or it can make you really nervous because you're not used to it if it lasts a little longer than you think it should. And that can happen for sure, because we're not used to stuff like that. If that should happen and your mind is quiet, don't get nervous and think that it's a disease of some kind, Alzheimer's in particular, especially as we age. But it is interesting, because what you can do then to prove to yourself that you're okay is start reading, take a course of some time, get involved with your YouTube, listen to lectures of all kinds of stuff. Science, from my perspective, might be helpful. In other words, even if you don't know anything about something, listen to something that you kind of wish you could be interested in, just for a little bit, or as long as you want, actually. And you will find what's happening is that you're following along, not with every detail, but you're understanding an overview of something that the individual might be talking about. That proves that you're healthy. And be careful of the nervousness or fear that anyone can be involved with when they think something is wrong with them. The more you think of that, the more the fear increases, of course. So this is kind of an additional thing to what Carol was asking. And what I suggest is that the key thing to take out of this is that if this begins to occur to you, become curious about other things as well as what you're doing now. So you're broadening out your interest and stimulating a curiosity to engage with things that you haven't been engaging with. And that means you're broadening out your view, no matter what it happens to be, just by the very interesting act of being curious about life itself. Life has many, many directions. Be interested in as many as you want. Then don't bother telling anybody about it. Why? Good question. Because you stir up the defensive aspect of your personality and your presentation aspect of the pride in how you are and who you are. That closes down. Because of the personalization, you can do things, for example, anything you want. You don't have to tell anybody about it. You're doing it for you, to broaden out you as a human being. I know we're trained to tell everybody about it because that makes us more superior to somebody else who isn't doing it for 10 seconds or whatever it may be. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's counterproductive a bit when you're relating to trying to open up an avenue or a link between this state and all its steps and another with its level of steps that can blend together. It's fascinating, the idea of growing, when it's so much attached to the idea of being important. Many stories I've talked to many of you about meeting some of these folks who are extremely able in life as well. Not always, but some. They're very, very capable, and they do whatever they're doing in their job in this world. And they don't need to be recognized because their focus is not on the recognition. Their focus is on the bridging between these planes and another series of planes. To engage with these planes for the purpose of helping out others on these planes to find something similar to what they've found. And most of the time, you never know where you get the help from. And they do it that way because they don't want to interact with that elevated illusion of the personality being so important and valuable that it's more important than the actual engagement with higher states. And this is what we're caught up in. And we will remain caught up in this. And I think we need to a certain degree, because our state of vulnerability is so profoundly strong. We have to deal with things here on these planes. And sometimes that makes us vulnerable. Learning how to engage with these other states creates a different version of balance. On these planes, balance is, phew, I'm doing okay. I think I'm all right. On those other states, just engaging and continuing to do what you can without being recognized. And I think sometimes, they have the right idea. Because if you would be recognized, one of these folks would be recognized by people, certainly in some of the circumstances that they live in, people would be looking for their autograph on one side of the fence, and on the other, they'd be hounding them for the fact that that can't be true. It can only be this way or that way or some other way. As many beliefs that there might exist that might not agree with the idea that there could be others that are really helpful, that live on these planes, and they're in very high states, and they have no reason to be recognized because it changes things. So under those conditions, you and I would be looking for these kind of folks only if we can be aware of them. First stage, and this is part of Matthew Gould's question, getting to the next level. At this stage, our map for getting to the next level is success in something. Always paying close attention to an accomplishment of some kind. That's the levels on this way of being. And there's nothing wrong with those on this level. And people build their confidence up on these levels, especially if they really need help with confidence. And they need that help because they're vulnerable inside. And all of us, to some degree, on these planes, are pretty vulnerable inside. Each one in a different way, perhaps, but nonetheless, still vulnerable. The engagement with this concept of movement, especially with respect to the question that was Carol's, is quite interesting because in her particular experience, that engagement with another state was dropped in, her words, not mine. The recognition of that occurrence was her awareness, not mine, her awareness. And that awareness itself, even if it's happened 1 or 2 times or 10 times or whatever, it's constructing a kind of pathway in the personality's willingness to be aware to some degree, at least for 10 seconds or 2 or whatever. And that has an impact on the construction of it's an energetic form. I hope you all remember that. The personality is nothing but an energetic form, which you, on these levels, use for a purpose of engaging with others in life. We see that as us. And in fact, we are an energetic form, but we are something else. We're a form that is developing. And we interact with that developmental surging of each lifetime relative to how we've been before and how we are now is different than what we may have been before, for a purpose to broaden out our engagement with an energetic system. That's us, so that we can handle things beyond what our personality construction is right now. So if that occurs, energy comes in, it shows you the intensity or the engagement that you have with you right now. It's helpful that way. Others might think that's not very helpful, and I don't blame you at all, because we all have these moments when we're not as stellar as we would like to be. This is the part of being a human being. It's not the part of being more spiritual than Joe or Jack or Eleanor or God knows who. That's the idea of here, sorry. We're almost certain that this is more true than that. I think you need a sense of humor sometimes after we say these kinds of things. One that's hard to find because we're so determined to have our options more valuable than others. In this kind of orientation, we're dealing with broadening out our awareness level to the point where the awareness level helps us to understand others as well as ourselves. We see ourselves better. We understand, and we judge ourselves less. We're all still working on that one. And we try to judge others less as well. Now, there's an interpretation of that judgment concept that I think is at least partially real on my part. The more we react, and that is when you're able to notice your reaction, the more we react to something, the more we have it within us. And it could be an action, a behavior. It could be just an attitude of someone's, or it can just be you in 30 minutes of grumpiness, which, by the way, is an emotion. And all of us have tremendous amounts of emotion named by humanity as this, and this, and this, and this. Yeah, that's being a human being. If you only think that you have a relationship only with that which makes you spiritual, I don't know why you're here. And that's not a laughing matter. It's a realization. The whole unity of human beings has a huge convergence of emotion, of thought, of how the physical form should be. Gosh, that's a mix. Sometimes crazy making. I don't understand why we have all this stuff going on, but that's how it is here. And that affects us to some degree, whether you're even thinking about it or not. And then you attach certain relative beliefs on your part about what you should be like as an individual, or believe you're like as an individual, or believe everybody else should be that way too. And you do that because the intensity of humanity demands you validate your part in humanity, which you have no clue about. No offense to anybody. But you believe you do and know you're right. Or others think they're wrong. When you look at this, you begin to attempt to understand, because this is how do you go forward, right? To understand that none of that is negative or positive. It seems either one from various points of view. But what it is a boundary defense, a fear that if you go beyond something that is relative to your background or belief, whatever that happens to be, generally speaking, about anything, then somehow you relinquish you. And that you doesn't exist. That image of you is an image that you constructed. Same is true for me, same is true for you. And you do your best with that, or not. Or you decide, why should I? No one else is. Then you're acting like everybody does. And you have a right to do that. You're not independent. You're not even attempting to allow yourself to go beyond or go forward from wherever you are. This is normal in our world. So you're among the normal. Don't care what you think. It's not real. It's a matter of thought. It's a matter of circumstance. It's a matter of formulation. It's a matter of personal construction. It's a matter of allowing yourself to be comfortable in a position that you don't want to change, because you might lose that comfort. If you move from there, you will not lose that comfort. You'll create a different comfort. And this is the incremental steps that we all might consider might be of great value, perhaps in an upcoming age, because it's certainly difficult to do now. Understand that that's okay if it's difficult. You'll have people who don't want to hear that kind of stuff. In other words, I have to change something? Ugh. No, you can't. But little by little, there will be a helping of a kind. If you're sincere in relationship to really attempting to grow, there will be a helping internally that will enable you to understand some things slightly different than you could before. You may not even notice them. That's why patience is so important in this so-called inner developmental process. But you'll notice some little things shifting. That's forward. It can take you in many directions because it's your experience that helps you understand broader than you can at any given time. The same would be true for everyone. So there's no negation in it. Unfortunately, we're brought up with kind of negation, and sometimes, fortunately, we're brought up with some kinds of negation from our early stages. Parents do nothing. They try and help us to fit a view that they have within them of where you need to be and where you need to go. And throughout all your life, know it or not know it, our tendency is to be in those images. Most of the time, we don't know what those images are. Sometimes we get some hints And sometimes we begin not to agree with some of those images, little by little. And we keep some and we let some go. That's a difficult one. But we learn little by little. You can understand why time is so important in trying to understand our relationship with higher states. For many, it's an intellectual thing. For most and many, it's a defensive thing. You've made a choice you never made. You still honor it, and you maintain it because it's the only one you know. And for some, they search and they go around trying to see if there's something else. And then for some, they find out that there's a lot of similarities all over the world. They begin to understand a little bit that they're okay and they are growing, and other people are okay as well, and they are growing. Not necessarily in the same way, but they're moving through them, and you're moving through you. Go slow. Pay attention to what you're doing, one could say. And do what you can. There will be places where you can't do whatever you think you need to do. Okay, then, do something else. Attempt to understand differently than what you already understand. You will find eventually that what you understood before comes back to blend in a different way of looking at what you understood before. Because the links are profound across the globe. Relationship to philosophy and understanding, metaphysics or spiritual, or just engaging in the world normally. Shockingly, clearly similar. Every country to every country. And no one likes to hear that one. You find out. You find out. Soften down what you already think you know. Just learn more. Envision learning beyond what you know now. It will be helpful, and it's sizable. It's not about accumulation of knowledge here. It's about the experience of seeing and understanding differently, and finding respect for human beings that have no ability to do anything other than what they do. And it's not their fault. It's part of the process of the species. And we're all learning. So I can see how we are here this time. I hope that helps a little bit, Matt and Carol. We have another one here from Doris Flooding in Toronto. And Matt's from Toronto as well. Her basic question is, how does the fear, emotional energy, and it's so-called mental too, affect the different energy centers and our personal growth? Are some centers affected more? How does the fear affect our energy exchanges with other people? It's an interesting question that I often talk about, but in in various different ways. But it's an important one. And we just talked about it a little bit, how fear constructs a kind of boundary, a defended boundary all around us, so that we're more protective of what we believe has to be true all the time. And by the way, that's kind of a thing that happens with everybody. So this is not about one person, it's about everybody. The dilemma with fear is that not everybody understands that they're afraid. They see it as a value, they see a sense of valuing a position and place within the structure of their personality as only one way to make sense of things. This is, I would suggest, a very normal way in our world to deal with things. You take a look at that. Some of you read newspapers. Some of you listen to the news. Some of you read books. Some of you talk to each other. And you're talking. And you're engaging. And you're expressing what you've read situates you. And I'm not saying this is bad or good. I'm just saying it situates you. You believe whatever it is you've taken knowledge from to be a valuable thing to place around you as your view. And when you may not have an opinion, or you may have an opinion, but this one seems better, or that one seems better. We have a tremendous amount of politics going on right now. I'm not talking about the political field. I'm talking about the politics of the personality, where if you have 10 people who agree with you, that concept is not as real or important as 1,000 people in agreement with you. So if someone else has 1,000, you have 100, you're not that important. That is one of the biggest mistakes you'll ever run into. And it's unfortunate that we can't see through this yet. And it affects all of us, most of us at least. There have been ideas in the past that have been profoundly important to us in science, in religious backgrounds, in philosophical backgrounds, in medicine, in many fields where someone discovers something, makes sense of something, puts it forward, and is left out of contention related to acceptance of an idea. Their idea is not accepted. It takes 100 years, sometimes more, before the reiteration of that idea occurs and is suddenly accepted, because it took that long for the receptivity to that idea to grow. This is not uncommon in our world. As a matter of fact, it's very common in our world. One could say, well, scientifically, we had to wait until we had the tools to make some sense of this, and yeah, fine. But that is a defense as well, along the boundaries of what is acceptable. All that's acceptable right now, in this day and age, right now, will be not left behind but used in a different way than it could be in 100 years. If you don't believe that, some of you who are, let's say, can remember 30 years ago, will begin to wonder about what we carry in our pockets and talk to other people with all the time. 40, 50 years ago, there were huge pieces of equipment. And this is just equipment. We tend to focus on tools a lot as an aspect of value, pieces of equipment that make us feel more secure, more valuable somehow. Information about this or that has a large agreement in the group of humanity, we feel more confident with. Nations do the same thing. Villages do the same thing. Cities do the same thing. Fortunately, we can focus on sports sometimes. Watch Toronto play Ottawa, or New York play some other team, Minnesota, or the US and Russia, or Canada against the US. Or this is a better way to acknowledge the importance of a nation. The problem is not everybody in Canada or the US or Russia play hockey. It's a delusion. It's a metaphor. And we lose that. It's a loss in our understanding of things. Oh no, we certainly understand it's only a hockey game, but it moves our personalizations, this thing we call personality, in a direction for devaluation, judgment, assessment. We know how much better we are. We won 5-4. Thinking about these things is not a negative thing, but it opens your mind to an understanding that relates directly to understanding humanity a little bit better, understanding your neighbor a little bit better, understanding others, and maybe understanding yourself a little bit better. In competition, we look to defeat or defend often. And it's the nature of manipulation, one could say, or you could say it's more motivation. Both can be true. In seeing this, you begin slowly to understand that if you're all alone, and I hope it never happens this way, you have only you to deal with. And if you think on that level, that's one way to think. If you think on another level, where there is more within you that relates to a you, then you have more within you. That universal flow, that flow of intensity that is really there, operating as in this question from Doris, through the root center, through the gonad center, through the solar plexus, and on its level, opening up other centers, the brow, the throat, the crown, but still personalized at this coarser level. the personality and its love of self-interest is a level of engagement with development, not something to throw at the window, but it's at a level of development. And if we maintain that relationship with fear, which we all have to some degree, as a primary thing to protect ourselves only, rather than something that we can sense and recognize there's something off according to how we do things normally, and then wonder about what is off, then at least we have a sensing, an intuition about something may be off, and it might be something in a context external from us, or it might be that we're unable to perceive anything past, yet what we already know must be true for us, because we don't want to break any of those images of us. That would be awful. We wouldn't feel comfortable. This is a complex thing. The vulnerability we have causes us to tighten up and hold, because we anticipate and we are fearful that something may occur that may change our lives so much that we are no longer us. That is the biggest scary part of growing into the unknown. Some centers affected more. Yes, the root, gonad, and solar plexus are affected more because we use them more. Now, their trailings, their energy goes up to that brain of ours through the nervous system, stimulates a sensing that the whole body connects with, that heart center and that throat center. And we're on guard. Increased, yes, I agree, cortisol. Our intensity, fight or flight, motivation, fight or flight from anything that we are nervous about. And how you work with it is energetically. How do you work with it? Try doing the balancing. Try doing the redirecting. What you want to do is bring the energy from where it's increasing from the root center up to the top of the head. Softly. It's really hard. From the personalized willfulness that we all think we need desperately. Up through the throat center and around to the brow. When that belly is really strong, there's 2 or 3 different ways. One of them is create the bananas at the belly. Use 10 petals like the old Hindu Buddhist way. Close them down, turn the hands on. Five petals at the bottom, 5 petals at the top. 5 and 5 or 10. For those of you who've been around seminars, you understand what I'm talking about because I've showed you how to do this. When the intensity is increasing when you're with somebody at the solar plexus, bring your hands together like this, turn them on, and put them out there about 6 or 8 inches from the belly and relax. The energy will go around the system. If it's focused, the other person isn't doing it on purpose. And neither are you. because you're not always aware of what you're doing when you're intense. Redirect it up through the chest and back and through the brow. Talk to yourself, third or fourth different way. Easy does it. Okay, what am I seeing here? Oh my gosh, look at me. I'm reacting. What am I reacting to? What's this all about? Why is that so necessary? Something may affect the other, something may affect you. Leave you in the equation. You are not an expert in life or existence. You are a part of it. Remember that part. You're a part of it. Part of existence. Slow the fear down. Do the life map on wherever you think the fear is coming from. If you think it's coming from your belly, if you think it's coming from your root center, check your system out. Be aware behind you, in front of you, all around you. Where is the most intensity coming from? You can do that. You've learned how to do that. Never mind judging others and where their centers are coming from, because your focus will be on these levels. Notice them. And why do you think you can figure that out? Because yours are coming from the same place. Not from some high level because you're aware of it. The other person hasn't learned how to be aware of it. That's all. That's up for grabs for everybody. They have a right to know. If they want to, they may not want to. They have that right. It's relationship. If you really understand what I just said, don't be afraid. And a softer time to talk to them about it. Tell them your dirty secret. If you have a little bit of awareness, say it that way. Because it's not that high in relationship to higher states. It can be pretty intense here, but it's not that high. It's a beginning. Be helpful. I didn't like that person because they had too much solar plexus. You mean they were further advanced than you were in relationship to their capacity to handle of the solar plexus? Could be. But in that case, how could you help yourself? Well, you could do what I talked about. Redirect. Bring your hands around. Yours solar plexus may open easily in a certain place because of some of the experience you've had. Learn how to close it down. Do the banana peels. 10 petals, 10 bananas. Solar plexus is being helped to grow into and above the diaphragm. And it opens sometimes, and it only knows to go to itself. It's learned that it has to protect itself. And your personality is focused there. Verbalizations are focused there. Protect the self, the root, the gonad, solar plexus. Operates into the brow. If you can get that brow open a little bit more, remember when you're meditating, focus with the hands pointed towards the brow center out here. It's one method. And if your solar plexus comes on stronger, go down there at the solar plexus. Get it moving upward. Cup the hands, just like many of the Buddhists and Hindus do. Cup the hands underneath the navel. Some say a little lower. Underneath the navel, and get it. Be patient. No one's going to send you a certificate. Other, I have to say, groups do that. Then the certificate becomes the important thing. You're more important than the certificate, my opinion. This is a very, very difficult question, again, but very valuable question. And thank you, Doris, for sending it. And thank you, Matt. Thank you also, Carol, for sending those. Let's meditate now. We'll try and find some nice, relaxing music after that. And just bear with me, and we'll get that organized. Have a good evening, everybody.
Namo Namaha. Lalita Devi Ma Bhavani Ambike Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Lalita Devi Annapurna Lakshmi Ma Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Kamala Katyayani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Lalita Devi Tvam Brahmani Gayatri Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Lalita Devi Tvam Tripura Sundari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Lalita Devi Mata Namo Namaha. Lalita Tvam Raja Rajeshwari Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Bhagavati Bhargavi Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Bhakti Varade Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Maya Vishwamohini Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ishwari Narayani Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Nitya Parameshwari Jagadambe Janani Namastasye 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 Namo Tvam Ananda Sagari Namastasye 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 Namo Sarvamangala-mangalye Shive Sarvartha-sadhike Sharanye Triambake Devi Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Now we'll just begin to do the balancing and the grounding. Have a good evening, everybody.